All right, I am going to start a travel series on here with tips and tricks for the various countries that I have traveled to. And most recently, I did a road trip in the Balkans, and that included, of course, Kosovo, Albania, New Macedonia, and Bulgaria. However, today I'm going to be talking about Kosovo, and most specifically, driving in Kosovo, and some tips and recommendations for while you're driving through there. First of all, definitely beware of speed traps because they're everywhere. They're in the cities when you're entering and exiting roundabouts, and then they're just on the outskirts of cities, in between, on the little roads. They're everywhere, and they will stop you, they will fine you. Who knows? You don't really want to get pulled over in a low infrastructure company or country like this, especially one that has a high probability of drug cartels. So while you're in Kosovo, be careful and try not to speed. Secondly, drive slow when it rains. Because of the lack of infrastructure, there's very little drainage. So if you're on the highway or on the small towns, doesn't really matter. When it pours, and it will pour, everything gets stopped up. Like there's just flooding everywhere. So if you're on the highway, it can flood. You could hydroplane. You could get in a wreck. So just drive slow when it rains, please. And also beware of those speed traps. Thirdly, be careful of the right lane. If you are in cities, especially, the right lane is very well known to just stop. People will just stop in the middle of the city. They'll just stop, park, get out of their car, do whatever they need to do. It's a little bit chaotic. Most people will put their emergency lights on if they're going to do that, but it will be like emergency light, slam brake, done, stop. So if you're following too closely behind or you're not prepared to get in the left lane immediately, you could probably get into a wreck. Just be careful, be mindful of the right-hand lane. My advice, stick to the left. It tends to pass through. It's a little bit less dangerous. I don't know. Just be careful of that right-hand lane. And lastly, I'd say be aware of the constant construction. There's construction everywhere all the time in Kosovo, a lot of unfinished stuff, a lot of highways that have been ripped up and just torn to shreds, and it doesn't really seem like anyone's ever really working on them. However, it could be very troublesome, especially at night when your lights are not super great. Be mindful of the construction because you'll be driving on a road and then the lane will shift to the right or shift to the left, and everything, you'll either be in oncoming traffic or it'll turn into a gravel road. And if you're doing that too quickly, you could pop a tire. So be careful of construction. All in all, though, Kosovo is an amazing place to visit, and you should definitely do it. Don't let the driving deter you. The people there are so sweet, and people on the road are actually pretty courteous to one another. It's just, it can get a little taking used to the intricacies of driving there. So definitely check out Kosovo if you have not. The Kofte is amazing. Just be careful when you drive. So you could follow, subscribe for me. I'll have a ton more tricks. I've traveled to 67 countries, so I have a lot of information for you. Stay tuned.